I mean, it was terrifying. We started, I think we raised $60,000. So that's all we had to open the restaurant. And, she has an incredible knack and still has an incredible knack for being just really tenacious and getting things done. Mm-hmm. And so, when it came to like figuring out who was going to dig the trench to lay the plumbing, we were like, I don't know who's going to do that. And it needed to be done the next day. Yeah. And, down the street walks 5 guys with shovels, just happenstance, and hired them and they dug the trench. That's how it worked the whole way through. Yeah. And friends showed up and did things for free. And the day that we opened, we had $2,000 in the bank.
And it was a Longmont location.
Longmont location. We lived around the corner.
Yep.
So we had $2,000 in the bank, and it was either going to,
make it or break it.
Make it for 2 weeks or be done, go forever rather. She's still going strong. So that's really great.
Hi everyone, I'm Jennifer Egbert with Mile High Modern in Boulder, and my guest today is my longtime friend, Rayme Rossello. She is the owner of Comida, and she also started Proto's Pizza back in the day.
Yeah, 1999.
1999.
Yeah, a minute ago.
God.
Just my ex-business partner just celebrated the 20th anniversary.
That is wild.
Yeah, it is wild.
And
it's exciting.
Yeah, and they're still, how many locations does Proto's have now?
She has, I think, 6 or 7, maybe 6. Gosh. I think she has 6.
You guys knocked it out of the park.
Yeah, together we opened 5,
right.
And then one of those 5 was out of state in Boise, Idaho.
Okay.
And she did that for, I think, the length of her lease, which was 10 years, and then
didn't want to fly out of state
was
anymore.
done with Boise.
Good job, Pam.
Good job, Pam. Exactly. I was a part of it starting from 1999, and she bought me out in 2007.
Wow.
Yeah.
And then, I can't remember. Was there a little gap, or did you go right into Comida?
No, there was a gap.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Because you were doing, okay.
I went to pastry school.
Yeah, that's right. Oh, my gosh.
Yep.
I've known Rayme a long time.
Yeah.
It's becoming a blur. Well, what prompted you to get started in the restaurant industry?
I grew up in New York City,
mm-hmm.
and I needed a job. I lived at 87th and Broadway, and so it was summertime. I walked down the street to Teachers 2, T-O-O, because there was also a Teachers. And that's one of my maybe favorite things about New York City restaurants in the 80s is that they would have like so-and-so 1, so-and-so 2, so-and-so 3, why rename it? Just add a number or call it whatever 2. So I worked at Teachers 2 as a 15 and 16-year-old serving and bussing, and but they let me wait tables at brunch.
Oh, wow.
Which was super
That's a big
fun.
deal.
Yeah, it was a big deal.
When you're 16, yeah.
Yep. I think I told them I was older.
Probably.
And it worked. It was fine. There was no ID checking at that point in time.
Right. We were all legal then.
It was a different world. Yeah.
Totally. I think I was grandfathered in. I was the year that was grandfathered in to like year 18, and you could still buy beer.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So I started there, and then it was just always a great way to make, extra money. It helped put me through college. I had financial help through both the scholarship and also some family help, which was always great. But I waited tables. I cleaned houses. I worked at the Boulder Salad Company. I was a barista.
Where at?
At the Brewing Market.
Oh, wow.
And then at the Lick Skillet Cafe, which was out where Ozo Coffee is now.
Yep. I remember it.
So, and then from there I went to Q's right after it opened and worked with that whole team, which was awesome, and Dave Query and John Platt. Mm-hmm. And then worked for John Platt for years after he bought it from Dave.
Were you managing the restaurant?
Not at Q's. No,
but Jack's.
When I left Q's, I left Q's to move to Boston, and a couple of days before, getting the moving truck was like, no, I'm not going to Boston. And so got a job at Jack's at that point in time, serving.
Yeah.
And then after maybe a year or something, I started managing.
Okay.
Yeah.
And so from there, you and Pam decided to open up Proto's?
Yeah, we met, we met probably when I was in my early 20s.
Yeah.
And then we started Protos in 1999. We were in a relationship, and so she was gonna open this place called Protos Pizza because that's her last name. And I was like, good luck, have fun with that. And then she asked my stepfather to be an investor, and so I quit my job.
Oh, wow.
Yeah.
Okay.
And yeah, we did it together, which was really cool.
And you guys were in your 20s, right? Was it?
I was in my 20s.
Yeah.
She was in her 30s.
Yeah.
She's a few years older than me.
So what's that like? I mean, there are budding restaurateurs out there.
Yeah.
And like, what was that like for you guys?
I mean, it was terrifying. We started, I think we raised $60,000. So that's all we had to open the restaurant. And, she has an incredible knack and still has an incredible knack for being just really tenacious and getting things done. Mm-hmm. And so, when it came to like figuring out who was going to dig the trench to lay the plumbing, we were like, I don't know who's going to do that. And it needed to be done the next day. Yeah. And, down the street walks 5 guys with shovels, just happenstance, and hired them and they dug the trench. That's how it worked the whole way through. Yeah, and friends showed up and did things for free. And so the day that we opened, we had $2,000 in the bank.
And it was a Longmont location.
Longmont location. We lived around the corner.
Yep.
So we had $2,000 in the bank, and it was either going to,
make it or break it.
Make it for 2 weeks or be done, go forever rather. And yeah, she's still going strong. God, so that's really great.
Wild.
And it was, I mean, we didn't, neither of us had ever owned a restaurant.
Right.
So, but the way to do it is to just do it and not ask for a bunch of advice, and don't hire a consultant. That's a big waste of money. Either you have it in you to do it and do it well, or you're going to not do it well and close soon.
Yeah.
That's really how it works.
Okay. So really like trust your gut and go for it.
I think so.
And have experience in the restaurant industry.
Yep. And don't make it be a hobby.
Right. Mm-hmm. It can't be like a passion project.
I'm just great in the kitchen, and I love having dinner parties. I want to open a restaurant.
Yeah, that's like people who say they want to get into real estate because they like houses.
Oh, great. Nope.
Don't do that. You have to like people a lot.
Yeah.
And you have to like what you're doing.
Right.
So what were some of the surprises then that came up for you in that, like in becoming a restaurant owner, and then you guys franchised it, or
never
you didn't
franchised.
franchise, you just opened up several locations. Yep. What were some of the surprises that came up that really stand out to you, where you're like, oh, that was a life lesson?
I didn't know anything about payroll taxes.
Gotcha.
That was crazy.
Yeah, right.
And I mean, 20 years ago, minimum wage was completely different than it is now. I mean, the cost of doing everything was completely different.
Right.
We started making money right away, which was really exciting.
Right.
I mean, I think neither of us had any idea that literally, I was out of breath every day. I would wake up out of breath. It felt like there was so much to do. And each restaurant that we opened, she would say, let's do this. And I would say, no, it seems like a lot to do. And then it would happen, and we would work our butts off. But the more, at that time, the more opening more restaurants made it easier rather than harder. And especially, I think, because we were business partners.
Could like divide
so
and
we
conquer
could, yeah,
a bit.
I had the things I was good at, she had the things she was good at. And we were really, I think, good at not crossing those lines. And then, having owned Comida now since 2010 on my own without any business partners, there are really great things about that as well. But it's nice to be able to lean on someone from time to time.
And what is the juxtaposition that you're seeing? Because you said, 20 years ago it was a lot easier. It was a lot different. Obviously, the price of running a business was way different.
Oh, I mean, rent was night and day.
Yeah.
Triple net is the craziest thing on the planet now. I mean, my triple net is equal to my base rent at my restaurant in Aurora, which is insane. It used to be my methodology, my thought process around what to pay for rent, which included triple net, would be what you would make on a busy night of the week.
Right.
And I mean, that's really hard to do.
Right. Like, do we have enough alcohol sales tonight?
Right.
Do we have
all of it. Top line
upselling
sales.
and,
Are we making?
Yeah.
Are we making enough money to pay the bills? And so their minimum wage is different. That's a huge thing. I mean, workers' compensation, all of that stuff has changed. The labor laws, just in terms of how long people can work and what constitutes full time versus part time. the price of food
I
is very
know.
different.
Like that versus, well, there's like a story that I like to always, like I refer back to is like, the dishes cost this much, but you want to bring this in, what do you do?
Right.
You
Well,
know?
and people still want to pay $4 for a taco or $2.50 for a taco.
Right. In 2019.
So that's just, it doesn't work.
Right.
That model doesn't
Yeah.
work anymore. So
Yeah.
So figuring out how to do that and still make the things in the way that I want to make them, which means we use really high quality proteins and spend a lot of time making our food.
Yeah.
And it's no joke. And if people will say, it feels like it's too expensive, I say thank you so much for coming, and we could steer you in a direction that is this way, and you could still absolutely have plenty to eat and be full and all of those things. But it was your choice to have 3 margaritas.
Totally. Or I like to say, yeah, it is.
Yeah, good shit costs more.
You're totally right. Good shit does cost more.
Yeah,
it's true. Mm-hmm. Were you ever trained as a chef?
No, never trained as a chef. When I started with the food truck, I was, very much involved in the making
of the
Comida
food truck.
Comida food truck, yep. So in 2010, I started with a food truck because I thought it would cost less money than opening a restaurant.
Did it?
It didn't. Okay. Not less than opening Protos. I mean, Protos was $60,000 to open, and granted, it was 11 years later.
Yeah.
It was twice as much to open the food truck, and then we were in Boulder, which at the time was not familiar or friendly to food trucks. Yeah, not at all.
That was a bummer, actually.
Super bummer.
That was like one of those things where the city that shut it down, having food trucks downtown?
100%. It was the city.
That was crazy to me, and it felt like such a loss just in something that would be interesting.
Yeah.
In Boulder.
Yep.
But you are I always think you've always been a visionary when it comes to branding. So when Comida was introduced, it was something that everybody was we were all excited for you. And then on top of that, it looked exciting.
Yeah.
This giant pink trunk. Rolling around.
Named Tina. Yeah, she was great. But no, we really, for the first year and a half of doing business without having a brick and mortar, there were days like, I would just cry all the way back to the commissary kitchen because we'd made $12.50,
Yeah.
And shame on me for not really knowing all the rules, but there were a lot of questions that weren't answered. And so what was great is I was forced into a situation where I got to really start to work with the city council and understand the politics around what was happening and just take the weird, shamey, like, no, you can't do this. And instead from a business point of view, like, well, why can't I?
Right.
Help me understand why I can't do it. I mean, I get that I shouldn't park out in front of,
a restaurant.
Zolo.
Right.
You know what I mean?
Right.
Not that I ever did or would have, but, but why can't I park at the end of the street where there aren't restaurants?
Totally.
And I don't understand.
Or like
and
over
feed
by
the
the
meter
courthouse
or any
over,
number.
yeah.
So, and you really still can't do that.
Yeah.
I mean, the rules are.
We don't see food trucks.
The
in
rules
Boulder
are pretty strict.
unless you
Denver's
hire
a very
them.
different situation.
Okay.
Yep.
What happens in Denver?
In Denver, you can park on the street downtown and feed the meter, and
That's awesome.
yeah.
God.
Yep.
Okay.
And we don't do
Come on,
that.
Boulder. We don't do that.
We don't do that. But Boulder does have some places now, the Rayback, where you can take your take your truck and enjoy an adult beverage and have a place to sit and stuff like. And I think that it's not that the food truck business is waning necessarily,
Right.
but I think that people's desire for that whole feeling that was happening when I went to Venice Beach to see what it was all about, what the
Right.
culture, what the food trucks were all about. It was so exciting and brand new, and so it's definitely changed.
Yeah, I can see too how like Rayback works because it's a congregation of several food trucks and there's a place to hang.
Yeah.
And play. It seems to still be working. Like it's
think so.
lively all the time. Yeah. That is so interesting. And so then you found your space.
Yep.
And the first space was the Prospect space?
I opened the first brick and mortar in Prospect out in
Okay.
Longmont. Yeah, because it had been a restaurant previous to that,
Right.
and I knew the landlord, and he said, come in and make it into Comida, and in 5 years the contents will be yours, and just make it work.
Yeah.
And so I said okay.
Yeah.
And we were there for 6 years, and it was awesome. It was a great jumping off point and a really great little neighborhood to be a part of.
Really, and it was lovely, and it was like totally the
it felt
truck
like family.
turning into the space, and it was like we could come over there easily, and that was really cool. And the margs are very good.
Well, thanks.
They're really good. And you were talking about the quality of your food, so. I don't know if we read it somewhere, if it's rumored, but that your guacamole takes 3 hours to make.
Well, it shouldn't, in my opinion, but it does. Sometimes it is. When we make a batch of guacamole these days, it's 2 cases of avocados.
So it's just the quantity.
Yeah, it's a huge amount, and everything is chopped by hand. We're not using a Cuisinart or a RoboCoupe to chop up peppers, and there's 9 ingredients in the guacamole, and every single thing, every bit of it is chopped up by hand. So
that's amazing.
And we make a lot of it, and hopefully we've gotten it down from 3 hours, but it's a pretty big project every day.
It's very nice too when you notice. Like I always see that with restaurants, they're open and it's incredible and everything's incredible.
Yeah,
and then a year or two later, it's status quo. Because of, I don't know what, production.
I've had chefs come in and try to change the recipes to make it simpler and easier, and we should just do this with the herbs when we're making the situation, and we should and the food wasn't as good when that was happening.
You've been down this road.
Yeah.
I mean, you.
So now I feel, because then I opened another location from the Prospect location.
Right.
An opportunity came up to open another one in the Rhino district. In a building that was being refurbished into a market hall,
that was
sort
stunning
of the first
for the time,
gorgeous building, and was there for 5 years, and that was an awesome thing to be a part of. And then as things started growing in Denver and construction along Brighton Boulevard happened and all of that stuff, and there was a hotel that was built as a part of the project next door. It just went. We went.
Well, you had no traffic. It was so hard to get in there.
We were down like $1 million from one year to the next.
Are you kidding me?
No.
Holy shit.
So that was, so anyway.
Yeah. So where did you move after that?
During that, I opened the Stanley location, which is in Aurora.
And currently
just outside of the Stapleton area. So what's known as the old airport, the old Stapleton International Airport grounds, sort of very close to there.
Yeah, and it's really only like 25 minutes from Boulder. So it's not far at all. I've been down there.
I mean, I make that drive every day. It might be a little bit more than 25 minutes.
Okay, a little bit more than 25 minutes.
Realistically, but it's totally worth the drive.
Yeah, the food is incredible. There's like street tacos.
And the Stanley Marketplace is, 144,000 square foot or something like that.
Robust.
Building with 52 other businesses that are all locally owned and really cool.
Like cool retail, cool restaurants. And you live in Boulder.
I do.
Okay.
Yeah.
So, I mean, I've known you for 26 years,
long time.
Something like that.
I moved here 30 years ago, almost.
And same. 91.
Yep.
So, I don't know that you've ever moved. Have you ever moved away in that time?
I've tried 2 times.
Like
the Boston thing I tried,
right.
and then I was going to move to Boise when I opened the
I
Protos up there. I bought a house up there, but no, I have never been able to leave Boulder. When I was opening at the Source location, I sold my house to open that business.
Yeah.
And so for a period of time while the construction was happening before the restaurant opened, I lived down in the Rhino area, and and my now husband was living in Baker, which is a neighborhood in Denver, and I couldn't stand living down there. I'm from New York City, as I said earlier, but having lived in Boulder for as long as I have, I want to walk outside and be able to go for a hike. Yeah. I don't want to search for the grocery store. I love how small our little town is. Mm-hmm. Still, 30 years later,
dynamic.
It can't grow.
It can't grow.
Nope.
And what I love on your Instagram, so Rayme and her husband and your family, all sleep outside.
Yes.
Every night.
Yes.
All year round.
All year round.
So that is incredible. So talk to us about that, because that is A bold move.
We started doing it at our last house. So we live up in the mountains at around 7,000 feet, and so there aren't a lot of bugs. I mean, we have flies and things like that and spiders, but there aren't mosquitoes or things that bite you in the middle of the night. So at our last house that we were renting, we started doing it, and the bed there wasn't covered. So there would be weeks at a time when it snowed or rained and, the bed was wet for a long time and didn't dry out. And so now at the house that we live in, it's covered, but the sides are all open. So it's like we are sleeping outside every night, and it snowed all over us last night.
That's hilarious.
And
not hilarious. It's really interesting.
It's beautiful.
To me. Yeah.
It was a commitment. Definitely, we started doing like a whole we're going to sleep outside every single day rather last year, and unless my husband goes out of town, sometimes I'll sleep inside. Yeah. But the last couple of times when he has traveled for work, I've still slept outside.
Really?
And it's just, we don't get sick.
Yeah, I was going to say your immune system has to be...
The fresh air is really good. And we have dogs that sleep out there with us and protect us, let us know if there's a visitor coming, whether that's
visitors
a human or...
in Colorado are mountain lions and bears and fox.
Right. And we live, far enough away from people that we don't have light pollution on our little road. So and we have a hiking trail on our property. So we found really truly the very best spot for us.
That's so cool.
In spite of all of its craziness, because it is also, we pump our own water. There's things about our house that are not, 2019.
That's okay. I think that's okay. It's 2019 might be backpedaling anyway. So
well, I mean, if the power goes out, we're totally fine.
Yeah, that's wild. So and really, it's just a matter of lifestyle for you guys, because you are. I mean, Boulder, while it seems far away, is so close, and
it's
you can
10
get
minutes.
there and,
it's 10 minutes, and you're sitting at the bar at Frosca.
That's so
something
cool.
like that.
And and just getting away from all the people at the end of the day.
That part's amazing. I mean, I love what I do, and so much of what I do is hospitality and talking with people, just like what you do. Yeah. And so I'm a pretty good mood person, definitely a morning person. It doesn't take a lot to. I don't have to convince myself to be in a good mood, but. But when I go home, at the end of a long day, I mean, and it can, sometimes traffic is not great depending on what time of day I leave. Right. So I start driving up Lee Hill and it all starts falling off.
Yeah.
Yeah.
That's so cool.
Yeah.
I love that. Going back to when you started, let's go back to when you started Comida. So you'd already gone through protos and understanding that, and you'd been done. I mean, I think you've helped a lot of the restaurants in town anyway with some consultation and things. Weren't you doing or managing with Mateo? And
I was part owner of Mateo for a minute.
Right. That's right. Mm-hmm. What advice would you give outside of just go for it, really for restaurateurs, or I would say let's talk about women entrepreneurs, women who are starting businesses, because I know what I would tell people, but what would you tell young women who are going, okay, you know what? I've been watching you on Instagram, or I know you through whomever, or coming to the restaurant or whatever, and I want to do what you do.
Mm-hmm. I would say, first of all, doing what you love is really, really important. You got to make sure you like what you're doing, and especially if you're going to plan on doing it for a long time, which, signing a lease on something is a commitment to a time period. Yeah. I think we can get really easily sidetracked by asking a lot of people's advice and opinions. And I just think if you know what you want to do, I think that there's something to certainly sharing your ideas and getting some feedback from the people closest to you in your life. But there are a lot of people that are going to say that's a terrible idea, or you should do it like this, and they're wrong. Mm-hmm. So
they're projecting a lot of the time.
Yep. Yeah. And there are a lot of people that, not that there's anything wrong with consulting, but often consultants are people that don't own restaurants anymore. Yeah. Because it's hard. Yeah. It's really hard. Yeah. And I think all the time, why does it have to be so hard? Why, and I love it. And one of the things I love about it is that it's different every day. Yeah. And I love that it's mine and I'm in charge of it. But that also means, at 7:21 when I check the bank accounts every morning, that whatever's in there is my responsibility and I got to figure it out. So, I think, if you have a good idea, I say, figure out where the money's going to come from. Location is really important. Maybe that's the one thing to ask advice on, because there are bad locations.
So speak to that.
Yeah. I feel like I had great locations,
Always.
Prospect was a tough location because we never really got signage along the road. And there was, to me, while it's such a great neighborhood and there were a lot of people that drove out from Boulder there, after a year and a half, 2 years, people would still come out, but it didn't have the same draw,
like the
for sure.
Of it,
and you can't survive based on the neighborhood alone. You've got to draw from much farther away, and build a community of people that are excited about what you're doing. And I really struggle as an almost 49-year-old with the whole social media thing.
Yeah.
Because I didn't go into the restaurant business to tweet or Facebook or Instagram.
I literally run, not me, because I do have social media help, but social media marketing.
Yeah. So I'm supposed to pay for somebody.
We're doing this.
I'm supposed to pay for somebody to do that for me because I don't. Because
you don't want to be on the computer.
Well, I don't want to be on the computer or on my phone all the time, and it's not what I'm good at.
Yeah.
I think I'm good at it when I'm using my voice and I have something 100%. That I really want to say, and I don't like every day a new taco pick is not going to grab someone. So what am I supposed to do?
Yeah.
That's mine to figure out, and I do every day, and I think we do a good job at what we do on social media, but I think that. I did it because of my interactions with people, not because of social media.
Yep.
And so that's totally different. That's a new thing.
Yeah. We're like our own PR firms.
Yeah.
And then
right.
Like,
we are.
How do you get that message out?
Right. And I also have a PR firm. So
yeah.
Right.
Because you can't do the PR firm thing because you're running a restaurant.
Yes.
That is
right.
There are a lot of facets. Like it is a whole thing when you're kind of like the idea and the epicenter of the thing, and then how do you keep this going? And oh my God, then you have to manage it.
And I didn't have a PR firm for a long time. I fought it.
Oh, okay.
Didn't. So for the last year I have, and it's made a huge difference.
You notice a change.
Absolutely.
That's great. Yeah. What's the biggest thing that you notice?
Well, I think that in combination with the fact that I now just own one restaurant, and so I truly am there a lot of the time, not all of the time, because I believe in days off and balance. But I'm there 5 days a week, and I think that plus the visibility that Feed Media has helped. I think it. I sales have changed. We're up. We're up.
You being
sales.
on the floor that's like a lot of magic.
I think so.
Yeah.
I really enjoy it, and I can see in my guests' faces that they enjoy it.
They feel special.
And making, Aurora is not a place I ever thought I would own a restaurant,
but that
community is really cool.
And it's totally up and coming. And you're right. You always have picked really good locations.
Thanks.
You've been here for 30 years?
Almost 30 years. Yeah.
Wow. And then do you consider yourself like a foodie, a business owner? Like, what are the, when you're...
I definitely consider myself a business owner.
Yeah.
I'm not defined by what I do, but it has been what I've done for so long that, like when I sold my half of Protos and Pam bought me out, I went through, I was mid-30s at the time also. I went through like who am I?
Right.
Oh my God.
Right.
And there weren't a lot of... aren't still a lot of women that I knew that had received a fair amount of money for hard work that they had done. So I didn't know, I was like, what do I do with this money? And who am I? And does this money define me? And so it was 2008, and I did what every good person did in 2008. I put it into things that lost money.
Yeah.
I lost money. I also experienced a lot of really cool things because of that money.
Yeah.
But when it was time to redo when it was time for me to really think about what I wanted to do again.
Yeah.
Most of that money was gone.
Mm-hmm.
So what's great and what I've learned now is that that's not uncommon.
Right.
You know, I mean, the people...
Like, don't be embarrassed about it.
Oh, there's
Just
no
talk
shame
about the thing.
There's no shame in it.
None.
Absolutely.
Yeah, I agree.
I mean, hard work is hard work, and we make mistakes, and I am superhuman, you know, not a superhuman, but I am very human.
Very human.
And I also, I think, run my business in a way with my staff that's very transparent. So it's not, you know, I would love to say that Comida makes gobs and gobs of money, and the truth is that it really does, but it all gets passed out to the people that are working really hard alongside me. I mean,
Really?
There are 40 employees in the one restaurant, and there's a lot to do.
There's a dog in the room.
You're glad you don't have my dogs in your room,
right.
though they are very
She's
well
very
behaved.
good,
But
she's just here for the back rubs.
yes, perfect. So I think I don't know. I lost my train of thought. I apologize.
Sorry, it's the dog.
Yeah.
It's the fact that, you know, while Comida is making a lot of money, there's everywhere where that money has to go.
Yes, it's all there's places for all of it. And I mean, my father always told me, and other smart people in business have told me, Rayme, don't do this if you're not making money. Make sure that you pay yourself. And so I do that.
Yeah.
And that is a really important thing. The times in my life when I've been a part of a business where I couldn't do that or didn't do that have been miserable.
Yeah,
And
it's a bad feeling.
life's soul sucking. You know, it is a bad feeling. And it's not a hobby, so I should pay myself. That's the bottom line. So I think by virtue of that, I feel like a success, you know, because I get to really do what I love. Not necessarily in the place that I would have thought I would be doing it.
Totally.
You know, Boulder is, what a great commute that would be. And I've had many people say, why don't you open a Comida in Boulder? And I've looked into it. I signed a lease at one point, even with somebody, and then was about to sign a lease with another. And I think at this point in time, there are other people that are opening similar concepts, and they're doing a great job. And I'm just going to let them do that and get to enjoy them in my town. And so that gets to be enough, you know?
Well, that also gives you that autonomy that we're talking
Yes.
about. Like, you don't actually have to go up the hill
Right.
to enjoy, like, being out in your community. I mean,
I still get to be a part of a restaurant community. People understand that that's what I do because I'm a friendly person also. And so, you know, being in Boulder for 30 years, I know a lot of people, but there are a lot of people I don't know now. Also, having spent so much time doing business in Denver and not catering to the guests and patrons that, you know, Boulder produces.
Right. Yeah. And times change. You know, like how we spend our time.
They do.
Thing. Like
yes, that what I
down on Pearl all the
when
time.
I'm not at work, I'm certainly not hopping from restaurant to restaurant anymore, or bar to bar.
No,
I go home.
I'm doing math homework with a third grader.
Yeah,
no,
yeah, it has a different flavor.
It sure does. It's harder.
You have a glass of wine.
I don't want to do math homework
with math homework.
So, if you weren't living in Boulder, where else would you want to live?
My husband is from Iowa, and
where in Iowa?
He's close to Cedar Rapids, sort of in between Iowa City and Cedar Rapids.
Okay.
And he, you know, often talks about wanting more land. You know, we live on 14 acres that we own, but, you know, Iowa land is very different. We talk about living up in Montana, you know, maybe 10 plus years from now. Somewhere with more land, for sure. Not closer to a city, farther away from, but still to have access to the things that we love to, you know, to do, and good restaurants and things like that. I mean,
so you're moving to Livingston.
Where is Livingston?
Outside of Bozeman.
Oh, yeah, I don't know about it yet.
Cool. Oh, it's so cute.
Is it great?
Yeah. It was like a little cowboy town. It felt like maybe like
probably
20 years ago.
By the time we're ready to go,
Shi-shi-la-la.
it'll be super, super shishi.
Totally. Yeah. Ted Turner has a ranch there, and all
but
that
we have an Airstream, and so you know, the first on our list is really to make our property, to change our property, because it was lived on and loved, you know, and the house was built by the family that lived there, for since the early 70s, late 60s, and that's who we bought the house from, and we love it, and it's also going to be really great when we make some changes to it. Like the kitchen is about as big as the food truck, and which means that when I'm cooking, or he's cooking, like nobody else can really be in the kitchen unless you want to like snug up by the door and sit on the floor. Yeah, which isn't really any way to have a dinner party.
Yeah. And you're such an entertainer.
I love having people over. Yeah, I do. Yeah. So I look forward to changing that and being able to just, enjoy. Right now it's great because sometimes, there are house guests that love to come and stay with us, and then there are people that don't, which blows my mind because to me, I think it's awesome up there. But, it has.
I want to just go see the fox cubs.
Oh, that was the last house. Yeah.
It was? Mm-hmm. Oh, shoot.
Yeah.
Darcy has them now.
Maybe.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
Cool. Down the street. Yeah.
Great.
That's so cool. If you had somebody coming to visit you for 24 hours who hadn't, what would you tell them to do?
I would definitely take them hiking in the mountains. If they wanted sort of a social hike, I still, after all of these years, love hiking up Sanitas. It's a sweet spot and beautiful view of the city. I think spending time on Pearl Street is always really great, and there are really great restaurants that Eric and I, enjoy. We tend to go out on the early side when we do go out.
Yeah, but I like the early side of things now. I'm like, okay. So being up in the land, and that you do like to entertain. Yep, and
my husband owns a pork company called Tender Belly.
Oh, that's right. I know that. I acted surprised for you guys, but no.
Really great
Tender
bacon.
Belly, the habanero bacon is incredible. It's
amazing.
And the sugar-free
bacon is incredible.
Brilliant.
Yeah, it's great. I started, I think at one point in time I was doing like the Whole30, and I was like, why don't you guys have sugar-free bacon? Yeah. And so what I love about him is that he's really good at developing new products, and so his business is doing really well. And he one day when I was away in Mexico with some girlfriends for a birthday, he bought a Quonset hut building, like a 30 by 90 foot Quonset hut.
Okay.
He's a bit of a wild card. Yeah. Which is what I love about him.
Sure.
So anyway, he bought this building, a Quonset hut. Do you know what that is? Mm-mm. It's something you see often on farms. They're the metal roofed round like this. Yeah. So that's what a Quonset hut is. And, so all of that metal material was delivered to our house back in March.
Excellent.
And it's in a big pile in the driveway.
Okay.
Still there. Yep.
What's he doing with that?
Well, we're going to make a building at some point in time. The foundation's there now, which is great. And it's just a work in progress. But it's going to be like a 30 by 90 foot man cave.
Okay.
Which is bigger than our house.
Yeah.
So that will get built. Okay. And I guess maybe we'll live in that or live in the Airstream or both-ish. Mm-hmm. And then we'll redo our house.
Oh, and my gosh. Okay.
The hope is, and what we'll have a couple head of cattle, I would say, and a couple of hogs at some point in time. And
you're permaculturing it.
Yeah, we're going to do. I have a huge garden that got built this last year, which is awesome. The more time to spend on the land, the better. It's just really feeds me and him.
I mean, really, because for so long you were downtown or in an urban setting, and
no more.
That's great, Rayme.
Thanks.
Wow, that's so cool. I know what we were talking about was if you had folks here then for 24 hours.
Oh yeah, right. Yeah. Where would they? I mean, I'd send them down definitely to go to
Rosetta Hall.
To Rosetta Hall, I think
that's where we cut
that's
off.
A great spot. There's I think a couple of really awesome stores that I would send them to. Haven is one of my favorite stores. I love Cedar and Hyde. I love Max.
Jinx. We love Max.
We love Max.
We love Cedar and Hyde.
A little too much.
It's okay.
And I mean, it's so beautiful here. To me, the biggest thing to do is to get outside and and be a part of that. Some of my very favorite conversations that I've ever had in my life, or most of my favorite conversations, have either been just with me and my dog, or me and my, a friend that you're hiking with.
Yeah.
So there's just endless trails here, and with or without a dog.
I have to walk like almost every day. Like I need to walk.
Yeah.
Clears my head.
Well, it's good for you.
And it's pretty. Yeah, you're right. It is good for me. So a question that we're starting to ask our guests is, do you have a Spotify channel? Is that what it's called? A Spotify? Yeah. What's your playlist on Spotify?
I do use Spotify, and I'm pretty new to it, I will admit. I don't have my own like Rayme Spotify
playlist.
Do
you have a Comida one?
I don't also have that. I just have been listening to it feels like social media to me, so I haven't spent a lot of time on it. And then I just listen to a lot of books on, Audible as well.
Have a favorite book?
I just have been on a Malcolm Gladwell kick, so I just listened to his Talking with Strangers, which was fascinating. It was really...
I haven't read it yet.
Awesome. Yeah. Okay. All about how we read each other and what the things that we bring to the table that tell me what you're all about, and just it's a great book.
Okay, that sounds really interesting, actually.
Yeah.
Well, I want to thank you so much for taking the time today. You're so
Jen.
awesome. You're a sparkling light in the world, Rayme.
Well, thanks.
Yeah. And so this is Rayme Rossello. She is the owner of Comida. It is in the Stanley Marketplace in Aurora.
Yeah, and our website's www.eatcomida.com, EATCOMIDA.com.
And you can hire the food truck for events.
Absolutely, yeah. That is still a huge part of the business. So
cool.
Tina loves to party.
The food is good.
She's a good
Tina the truck.
Hot
she loves to party.
Truck. Who doesn't like that?
Awesome. Thank you.
You bet.
All right.
Thanks, Jen.